Hello and welcome back to my channel for another Sun-Moon combination. If you're new, my name is Lorraine, and in this video I'm going to be talking about Aries Sun with Capricorn Moon. I'm going to start off the video by talking about what a typical Aries Sun is like, and then I'm going to get into the moon placement and then talk about how the moon and sun probably interact and how it affects certain things. So if there's certain things about the sun description that don't quite make sense or don't quite resonate, then hang around till I talk about the moon placement and the combination, and then it will probably tie together quite nicely and make a lot of sense. So Aries Suns are very passionate, aggressive, competitive, goal-driven, loyal, energetic, and self-confident, and fiercely independent. I know of a lot of adults that like to kind of romanticize being a kid, like, oh, to be a kid again, you know, no responsibilities, don't have to pay bills, oh, wouldn't that be nice? And I am like, hell nah, hell no. Like, I don't know about others, this is my personal experience, but as a kid, like, I don't miss being a kid at all. I much prefer being an adult, even if it means I have more responsibilities and bills. I much prefer having my own independence. So, like I mentioned, Aries love their independence, and because of this, they hate being told what to do, and I think most Aries don't enjoy having a boss, or at the very least, they don't enjoy not having any kind of autonomy or leadership position at work. So if you're an Aries or you know someone that's an Aries, they're probably far happier either starting their own business or being in some kind of leadership position at work, whether that's a supervisor, manager, or the CEO, or at the very least having a job where they have some form of autonomy with their work. Aries Suns are also quite impulsive, and they kind of tend to not think through decisions a lot. They're more spontaneous, you know. They want to just, when they get an idea and they're excited about it, they just want to do adventures and they want to do stuff. They're more about action, and so they don't really think through all of the possibilities and do a lot of planning. So, and they're also not risk averse. So Aries, yeah, they don't really plan stuff or think things through a lot before jumping in head first. Now, nothing lights Aries up more than the pursuit of a goal that they're really passionate about. Like I mentioned, they're very goal-driven, and Aries are really good at starting projects, but they're not so good at finishing them. Aries has shiny object syndrome because they're so passionate and they're so excited about the start of something new. Then once they get to like the work and the in-between, and the passion wears off, and then they'll usually abandon it for some newer, more exciting goal that they're passionate about. So Aries are very good at starting, they're not very good at finishing. And Aries have very like fluctuating energy. It's because it's so much energy and so much passion like at the beginning that it's not sustainable to continue that level of energy or passion, and as a result they usually fizzle out or even burn out. And so Aries are not known for their slow, methodical, perseverant pace with things. That's definitely more of an earth sign thing. You know, they say that life is a marathon, but for Aries it's a series of sprints. So I find actually Aries can sometimes have a hard time like being tired or burnt out all of the time, because many of us don't know how to like save energy for later and don't know how to like slow down before we get to the point where we burn out. Aries hate being controlled, and spite is definitely a powerful motivator for them. Now, Aries tell it like it is. Aries don't really beat around the bush. They cannot handle any backhanded, passive-aggressive, or fakeness from people. That's the kind of thing that really makes Aries blood boil, and sometimes they can be considered to be an asshole because Aries are just very, very blunt, and they're very to the point, and they just don't understand like why you have to be like manipulative or like beat around the bush or all those backhanded things. Like if you have something bad to say it to my face. Be upfront about it. Now, Aries are very impatient, like I mentioned, and this is also the case when it comes to things like their temper. I find Aries Aries are probably the quickest to anger of all of the 12 signs, but they also get over it really quickly. So like I mentioned, it's so much energy and passion at the beginning, and then it fizzles out like a lot quicker than some of the other signs. Now, Aries are aggressive, like I said at the beginning, and this is true. It's not always a bad thing. What I mean is that Aries are very aggressive about everything. They love aggressively, they get angry aggressively, they approach projects and ideas aggressively. They get excited, and they're very aggressive about how they express their passion. Now, Aries will stick up for and defend their loved ones no matter what. Like I mentioned, they're really loyal and very passionate, and I find usually if an Aries is getting angry, a lot of the time it could be because they're defending someone that they care about. Aries also really want to see their loved ones succeed. Aries are just passionate about so many things, and they're passionate about doing what they want to do and living their life how they please, because they're the first sign of the zodiac, so they are a more selfish sign. And this isn't always a bad thing, but they are the more selfish sign in that they put themselves first. And so that can be a good thing. It can also be a bad thing depending on how healthy this person is and how evolved or unevolved they are. Now, if they're healthy, I find because they put themselves first, they're much more inclined to then be able to do that for other people. They bring that passion and that vitality to the people they care about, and as a result, I find Aries can be some of like the best cheerleaders because they want to see the people around them be as passionate and excited about life, and wants to push people to be the best they can be. Aries also, I think, are known for aggressive pep talks. My partner has been the subject of many of those, and it's because we care and we also love giving advice. Now, Aries aren't the best at dealing with other people's emotions. Now, this does depend on the moon placement as well as other factors, but for the most part, Aries in and of itself, we are not the best at dealing with people's emotions. And that's not to say that we don't care, quite the contrary actually, but Aries, like when someone we care about comes to us to talk about a problem in their life or something that's making them upset, our knee-jerk reaction is to fix it. What can I do to fix it? We'll give advice because we think it's how we think that if something is making you upset or something is a problem, it needs to be fixed so it won't make you feel this way anymore. And it's kind of a learning curve for Aries. It definitely was for myself that sometimes when people come to you with a problem and they're talking to you about something, sometimes they just want to talk. They don't need you to fix it. They don't want your advice, even if we think they need it. Sometimes they just want to talk. And so that can be a challenging part for Aries because that's just not how we're wired. We're wired on like, let's fix this. I'll go beat up this person, give you an aggressive pep talk. I'll give you lots of advice that you don't want. Let's make it better. So even if they're not best at dealing with the emotions or listening and just being there to console you, Aries do care. But Aries do not have a tolerance for people that just sit around and wallow and feel sorry for themselves and for a long period of time and just don't try. And they have no patience or sympathy for people who ask for advice, go against that advice, and then come back and complain about the consequences and feeling sorry for themselves. Because when we love someone, when we care about someone, us Aries, we love pushing people to be the best that they can be. And when it feels like the people we care about aren't trying, or they're not doing their best, or they're making decisions or doing things that are against their own best interests, or they ask for advice and don't follow it, we're very honest about how we feel about it. And that's not everyone's cup of tea. Because Aries, like I mentioned, they're not the ones that want to just sit and talk about your feelings. We're more like doers, action takers, and fixers. No, let's, either do something to fix it, or let's do something to not think about it and shove it down. Basically, Aries are quite to the point. They don't beat around the bush, especially with the people they care about. So even if maybe sometimes your feelings get hurt, at least Aries are very honest about where you stand with them and how they feel about you. And it's because they want the same in return. Most Aries, like I mentioned, that are healthy and, I'm going to get to the unevolved aspects of Aries because I'm very aware that they exist. But when Aries are healthy and fairly evolved, They're very straight and to the point about where you stand with them and how they feel about you, because we want the same in return. It's because Aries don't like the fake or the passive aggressive stuff that goes like talking behind each other's back and then acting like everything's fine to your face and then finding out about it, like gossip and things like that. Aries don't like being on the receiving end of that, and so they're very forthcoming with being like, hey, I'm going to talk to you directly. They're not super conflict averse. That's a big thing with Aries, is they don't really shy away from conflict, especially with loved ones, because they're just, let's get it out in the open. Let's talk about it. Like, Aries are very to the point. And so they appreciate when other people are very to the point with them. So now, some of the downsides of Aries. So like you've probably picked up now, Aries are very passionate, energetic individuals. And now we get to kind of the problems that can arise from Aries. And that is, if that passionate energy does not have a proper outlet, ideally either something physical or competitive. Aries are very competitive. So if it does not have some kind of healthy outlet, it builds up, and that's what leads to the Aries stereotypes of being an asshole or hot-headed or very short-tempered, where they fly off the handle, and just because they're unable to control all of this energy and these feelings that, and this passion that has like bottled up, that they don't have an outlet for. And so I find it's not uncommon for Aries to need some form of anger management. Now, for the most part, though, Aries are very passionate individuals who are fiercely independent, and when they care about someone, they have a very direct way of showing it, and they like to push people to be the best they can be, and sometimes it doesn't come across how we mean it to. So quickly, before I get to the moon placement, I wanted to let you know about the new Facebook group that I am starting called the Astrology Club. It's going to be really awesome. I'm going to be putting free training in there quite often. I also really want to be making transit videos. Inside the Facebook group, there's also a 2021 astrology calendar that you can download for free, basically detailing all major astrology transits for the rest of the year, going from May until the end of December. So if you would like to join the Facebook group, link in the description. I would really love if you join, talking all about astrology. I'm also on Subscribestar now, so if you would like to support this channel financially and help me make even more content and get access to exclusive content, then a link will be in the description. So now we get to Capricorn Moon. So Capricorn Moons are very intelligent, hardworking, ambitious, and they enjoy learning. It's quite of a charming placement, and they're motivated by money and status. I find they're not generally motivated like in excess, like sometimes they can be, but for the most part, Capricorn Moons they want to be set financially. They don't want to struggle financially. To them, that's like the worst thing in the world. They need a job or some sort of work where they're able to be well off financially, comfortable. And like the Capricorn as a sign is one that likes to be prepared, and so they're the kind that also want to like save for retirement or invest in stocks or that kind of thing. They want to be well off financially, and so this is not a person, especially with the Aries Sun, this isn't a person that would be fine just working some dead-end job for minimum wage for the rest of their life. They are far more ambitious than that. Would be quite an ambitious pairing, and I do see it could work really well. On the other hand, it could be some kind of conflicting because these signs are square each other because they're very different. So Capricorn Moons kind of have a chip on their shoulder, and they feel responsible for things getting done even if like someone else was supposed to do it. So say they're at work and their coworker doesn't do their job or do their job well enough, and that like Capricorn would take that on and do it for themselves, even if it's not their responsibility, even if they're not a supervisor or manager in that job. Like they kind of go the extra mile and take on responsibility that's not needed from them, and that tends to be, I think, why they move up and end up making more money, is because they're willing to go that extra mile and take on more responsibility than is asked of them. So they're very good workers and tend to, I think, end up in sort of managerial or well-paying jobs. And I think that could be especially the case with Aries, which is also a very ambitious, passionate sign that wants to start projects and is really excited. And then you have the Capricorn Moon, which will really help balance out that Aries passion and temper and help them be a lot more perseverant and responsible. So this is a pairing that would be a lot less likely to jump in without thinking and take unnecessary risks. This is someone who would probably take quite calculated risks. And so this could be a really great balance if they're able to sort it out, because the Capricorn could help provide like, you know, the responsibility and the forethought to like think and plan. And then the Aries will help kind of drag that Capricorn out of any stagnation or routine or boringness that they may fall into, because you got the Aries that's willing to like maybe bite off a little more than a Capricorn would be willing to take on if they didn't have the Aries Sun. So the Capricorn moons are also very determined and opinionated. They can be a little narrow-minded and stuck in their ways. Capricorn moons can be a little bit pessimistic. I think maybe combined with the Aries, it would be maybe a good dose of realism, because like I mentioned, it's calculated risks. It's being a little more emotionally stable and learning not to take unnecessary risks. So I do think the Aries could maybe prevent that Capricorn pessimism from being pessimism, and it would just be maybe a nice dose of realism between the two of them. So the Capricorn moon will also add a lot more responsibility and patience and commitment behind Aries, because their Capricorn wants a job to get done and a job to get done right. And so if Aries starts something, the Capricorn moon is going to see it through. And so that's going to be helpful if the Capricorn moon then is able to prevent those like Aries from taking on those projects that they can't finish, and maybe being a little more calculated about how they go about taking on things. And so this could be a really great combination when it comes to whatever projects, work, that sort of thing, because you've got a really good combination. It could be difficult to strike a balance because the signs are quite different and they're square each other. Now, which one wins out? You know, are they a little more Capricorn-y and a little more practical, or are they a little more impulsive like the Aries? Depends on a couple things. If you have this pairing or know someone who was this person born during the day or at night? If they're born during the day, they might relate more to their Aries Sun more, and if they're born at night, they probably relate to their Capricorn Moon more. And it also depends on what houses these signs are in. So if Aries is say in the 10th house and then your Capricorn Moon is in the 6th house, when you're at work, then you're probably a little more Capricorn-y because your Moon is in the 6th house topic of say work or other shit, but whatever. My point is, that area of your life, you may be a little more Capricorn if it's in the 10th house when it comes to like public reputation, like your dream career, that sort of thing, legacy. That's more where your Aries would come out. And so it does depend on what area of your life you're talking about, as well as whether you're born during the day or at night. That's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to my channel. I'm almost able to get my channel monetized, and so I would really appreciate the subscribes as well as the watch time. So if there is content that you would like me to make, please comment below and let me know, and I will do my best to make it. And if you want to join the Astrology Club, a link will be in the description. I hope to see you there. That's all for now. Take care.